Alright folks, welcome to the solution manual, the video solution manual for Station 7 of your Chapter 1 review. This is covering increasing, decreasing, and constant domain intervals, as well as maxima and minima, both absolute and relative. So, simply put, when we are looking at an equation or a graph, we look at it from left to right. We're looking for increasing. Increasing would be increasing in value. So this section here is increasing, as is this section up to infinity. So we would write out the domain values of that, which would be from -1 to +1 and from +2 to infinity. Then decreasing, as we go left to right, would be going down in value. So it is decreasing in these other two sections. So we would say it is decreasing from -4 to -1 and from 1 to 2. And then for constant, constant would be a horizontal line. There are no sections of this graph that are considered constant sections. Now, as for relative and absolute maxima and minima, absolute is the highest and lowest points on the graph. So the absolute minimum is -1 at x equals -1. This point right here is the absolute minimum, -1, -1, which occurs at the point x equals -1. As for absolute maxima, there is not an absolute maxima because of the end behavior of the graph. It goes to infinity, so there is no absolute maximum on this graph. Now, when it comes to relative maxima and minima, relative means switching from decreasing to increasing or increasing to decreasing. So there are actually two relative minima. There is a relative minima at x equals -1 and x equals 2. At each of these points, the graph switches from decreasing to increasing, creating a lowest point in that area of the graph. So there's a relative minimum at x equals -1 and another relative minimum at x equals 2. There is also a relative maximum on this graph. That relative maximum value is occurring when the graph switches from increasing to decreasing, which occurs at x equals 1. That does it for Station 7. Hopefully all of those explanations make sense in terms of increasing, decreasing constant interval values, and relative maximum, relative minimum, absolute maximum, absolute minimum. Thank you very much for your time and attention.